The fact that you bought a game that you didn't like doesn't give you the right to be cruel or unkind to the people that developed that game.
Oh God, this is gonna be a banger video. I saw this one making its way through the feed. You can see it has 3.1K dislikes, so this should be a good one. This is a Bioware veteran by the name of Mark Darrah. Let's go ahead and keep watching.
Now, I'm going to be clear about something. I'm not saying that you have to like the thing you bought. I'm not saying even that you aren't allowed to complain about the thing you bought.
No, they're saying it, guys, because they lump all criticism or negativity into one group called hate speech. If you even dare say anything bad about wokeness or DI in games, you're a right wing rage bait grifter and reactionary. They hate it. All right. Not all criticism is hate speech, but they'll label it even though they'll insist it's not.
You can have whatever opinion that you feel like towards a game, even if that opinion is stupid and wrong. You are.
They say that. But the whole reason why he's making this video is because he doesn't like opinion that goes against the current woke gaming industry's mindset.
Entitled to that opinion. And to some degree, you're entitled to express that opinion to the corporation, to the video game studio that created this game that you bought.
Yeah, we have. That's why Concord failed. That's why X Define has failed. That's why Assassin's Creed Shadows will fail. That's why Dustborn failed. I mean, 2024 and already 2025, it's the year of speaking out against the modern audience.
You paid 70 of your own dollars for this game and it disappointed you. And you're angry about that. That is fine. You are entitled to be angry about it. And you're entitled to express that anger in certain channels.
See, this is where he loses me, and I see some people that are in my comments say, why do you cry? Why are you so angry? Why are you so triggered? Guys, if you have a negative criticism about something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're angry about it. You have every right to say, hey, I don't like that. Like if you eat a burnt slice of pizza, you don't necessarily get angry from it. You get turned away from it. You're like, yeah, I don't like that. Right? Why do they always confuse negativity and criticism, backlash with anger? Not everybody that criticizes your stuff is angry.
If you are mad at that Ubisoft game, be mad at Ubisoft.
We are.
Express your anger to Ubisoft or to the studio that made the game.
We are.
You cross a line when you start being cruel about it. So why am I saying you don't get to be cruel because you spent $70?
Because you're a snowflake. That's probably why.
Let's walk through it. One, you shouldn't be cruel at all. What are you doing? It's a video game. You don't need to go out of your way to cause harm to other people.
Look, how are we causing harm by giving our opinions? Now, I already know what some wokies in the comments might say. Well, some of you guys dox and target harass and do... No, this guy is lumping all of negative opinion into one bunch, all right? I don't condone doxing or target harassing people. I don't condone finding out private information of some of these people. But are you meaning to tell me that people like Matt Hansen at Obsidian are innocent of some of the comments that they say? Or the person that was the art or the designer of some of the characters at Firewalk Studio for Concord? Like, everything that I talk about, I show receipts from tweets, websites, Instagram posts, live streams, where these people that are making video games are literally spouting cruelty themselves. And then they play this whole, oh, I'm a victim game. You guys gaslight more than anybody. And this guy is Captain fucking White Knight.
Because of a video game that you don't like. Again, I'm not saying you're not allowed to be angry about it. I'm not saying you don't get to express your dissatisfaction with the content of the game that you're not enjoying. But when you climb into someone's personal social media and start actively attacking that person, when you celebrate layoffs at a studio because the game that you don't like didn't do that well, you're crossing a line into being cruel. And
No. We have every right to be like, hey, Ubisoft's laying off people. Maybe they shouldn't go woke. That's not cruel, all right? That is not cruel. Yeah, does it suck that people lost their job? Sure. But these are the same people in gaming, like at Obsidian, that say that there's too many crusty white dudes in gaming, that they hate gamers, that white people suck, and just all this Elon Musk and Trump derangement that we've been seeing. You guys are not innocent little victims, all right? I bet you 9 times out of 10, if you look at these examples that he's not showing any receipts for as of right now, those people that have been attacked and had cruelty aimed at them started it first, right? Now, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but this soy boy here is basically trying to act like anybody that complains, even though he keeps saying he's not saying we're not allowed to be angry, anybody that complains is the problem, is what he's trying to say.
Fundamentally, you should have more grace for other human beings. But if you're not buying that, let's go on to point 2.
All right.
You don't know what caused the results that you don't like. Let's
wokeness and DEI.
go through an example. Let's say that you don't like the line delivery on a piece of dialogue. Is that the fault of the voice actor? It might be, but it could be a lot of other things too. It might be the fault of the person who was directing that voice actor.
I have literally never seen anybody be cruel towards voice acting in a game. Have we said, yeah, the voice acting sucks, it's cheesy? Sure. I've even said some dialogue in video games is just terrible, but I've never seen anybody be cruel towards voice actors or directors about voice acting in a game.
Maybe they were given very specific instructions to deliver the line in this particular way. Maybe the writer who wrote that line wanted it delivered in this particular way, and the stage direction specified this particular line delivery. Maybe the recording equipment at the voice studio went down, and the only take they managed to get was this first one that was done just to set the tone, and they were just kind of out of time and stuck with it.
There's a whole bunch of whataboutisms or what ifs, or you know what I mean? Like, he's just dancing around the topic that at the end of the day, negative opinion hurts his feelings. That's what it comes down to.
So if you go and you start attacking the voice actor for a line delivery you don't like, it might not be them at all. It might be something else.
Okay.
Indeed, it might not be the line delivery at all. Maybe the problem was the writing. So should you go attack the writer?
I mean, again, a lot of writers that are getting backlash right now have put a lot of very left-wing idiotic tweets out there that a lot of gamers don't resonate with. They literally attack gamers.
Well, no, because why was the line written in this way? Was it written this way because the writer had a specific thing they were trying to say? Maybe. Maybe it was written this way because there was incredibly tight time pressures due to other externalities on their time.
Either way, these whole maybe this, maybe that, it doesn't mean that people can't be cruel if they want to. It's not illegal to be cruel, guys. Hate speech, even if it's not hate speech, the whole concept of hate speech is not illegal either. All right. So if somebody wants to complain about a video game and say dickheaded stuff, they have every right to as a consumer. All right. Sorry. That's the reality of it.
Maybe the direction of the game changed radically 3 months ago, and they had to rewrite this entire character in just 3 months. And you're just getting the first draft of that writing.
That's Assassin's Creed Shadows? Is that what's going to happen to it?
Maybe the lead writer wanted this character to be in a specific way, and it constrained what the writer was able to do while they were writing this character. Maybe the creative director on the project had specific goals that they had in mind, and they were pushing the writing in a particular way or restricting how much leeway the writers had.
See, look how many excuses he's making for the gaming industry when they've been literal crap as of late. This is just a bunch of maybe excuses that at the end of the day are all bullshit anyway. Like how does this invalidate anybody's opinion?
In order to express their vision on what the game was able to do or be. Maybe the executive producer, all of these people reporting up into the executive producer decided that this game should be different in tone and was pushing the game direction in a different way. Or maybe the leadership of this project changed 6 times
and these are all literal examples from studios that have failed. All right? People are speaking with their wallets too on top of this criticism. Are you going to say that us not buying games is cruel too? Because this whole concept, this whole title is your $70 doesn't buy you cruelty. No, a consumer that pays their money has every right to say what they want about what they spent their hard-earned money on.
Direction changed 6 times, and you're getting little bits of writing from each of these different directions, and there was never adequate time to step back and rewrite it. Maybe the CEO of the entire company really wanted his nephew to be hired as a script consultant.
Again, this all sounds like problems from terrible studios that make terrible games that deserve to be criticized. Like, literally every woke game that's come out this past year has done every example that you're pushing out there. So it's all fair game to me, in my opinion.
And this guy with literally zero experience was coming in and pushing for mandatory changes to the project. How realistic are all the things I just said? Some of them are incredibly realistic.
Yeah.
Some of them not so realistic, but I've seen things that look an awful lot like all of the things I just said.
Yeah, so have I. And a lot of the games that came out this year that have crashed and burned were because of people that had no business making video games. And I know that's easy for me to say because I've never made a game, but inept studios will crash and burn, and we're allowed to say what we want about it.
So when you decided to personally attack that one specific person on social media, how certain are you that it was their fault?
Who's he running cover for, by the way? Does anybody know?
That they are responsible for that thing that you don't like. And I'm going to tell you right now, you shouldn't be certain because you don't know exactly what was going on within the project.
Who's this guy virtue signaling for? That's what I'm so confused.
You don't know the exact circumstances that resulted in that thing you didn't like. Even people who were on the project aren't always going to be absolutely certain on who is responsible for something being exactly a particular way.
I mean, okay, but what does it have to do with a consumer that spent their hard-earned money?
These projects have hundreds of people on them. Content moves around between multiple people. Unless I am the person who is actually responsible for something being a certain way, that chain of custody isn't always going to be super obvious to me. And all of this isn't to say that you aren't allowed to have your own opinions, to not like the things you don't like.
He's sure as fuck lecturing us though on it, right? He sure seems like he's soy boying over anybody saying something and labeling stuff as cruel. Literally everything that he gave an example of doesn't seem like it's cruel to criticize. I'm sorry, but it doesn't seem like it's cruel to criticize any of the examples he's provided.
It's specifically to point out that you being angry at a specific person, you attacking a specific person, is often misdirected. If you feel like you're just not getting the satisfaction from yelling at the corporate Twitter channel or yelling at the studio directly, if you feel like you need to focus it down onto an actual human being, I mean, that's really sad. I'm sorry. That's very sad.
Okay, so when somebody like Matt Hansen literally admitted to being discriminative during his hiring process, like he literally made a point not to hire white people, that doesn't need any kind of criticism because that would be cruel if we directly respond to him and make, you know, woke video game journalists go into protective mode or anything like that. Like, we're not allowed to personally engage. Like, if you have a social media and you're on there, you're technically a public figure, okay? You're not immune to criticism at all.
And Hopefully you can grow beyond that, but I will give you a couple of outlets. If you need to complain at a human being, I'm going to say you don't get to go lower than the first person in the credits.
Are you serious? You don't get to go lower than the first person in the credits. Who is this guy to make a list of demands of what's appropriate for your hard-earned criticism, your hard-earned money? Like, yo, are you serious? You don't get to go past the first name in the... shut up. Shut up.
You can go higher than that, but no lower than that. The first person in the credits is the person who was, theoretically at least, in charge of the project.
So put all the heat on the person in charge. You're not allowed to contact anybody else. Okay, check.
They are the person where at least some of the responsibility is going to lie. Now, did they have full control over what was going on in the project? No, because...
He just keeps making excuses for everybody. Dude, it doesn't matter. If the art sucks, I'm going to contact the art person. Or if the art director says stupid shit on Twitter, I could say and react negatively to anything that they say on their social media.
You could still have the CEO of the company forcing them to use his stupid nephew as a script consultant. But at the very least, they were in charge of the project for a somewhat significant percentage of the time. So if you are mad about Anthem and we look at the credits, no shit, that's me. But yeah, if you feel like you need to yell at some...
All right, so this guy was the executive producer, a senior lead on Anthem. So that's his credentials right now, and I'm still puzzled as to what his real message is, because it sounds like he's beating around the bush and he just doesn't want negative criticism, but he's hiding behind the don't contact people's social media and criticize them. He's labeling that as cruelty. I don't know. I think for the majority of this video to have dislikes, 3.1K dislikes, you know, I think he's getting something wrong here.
Somebody for the way that Anthem is, it's much better to be yelling at someone like me who was theoretically in charge of the project, or at least in charge of the project for some of the development time, than yelling at someone who was working on the combat or the level design or whatever.
Okay.
Because again...
Sure, that makes sense, but you're acting like anybody that's gotten criticized or attacked on social media that it wasn't fair game. Again, I've seen people that are art directors and creative directors and even community managers and you name it. People of all sorts of positions in gaming saying and doing a lot of stupid shit that warrants criticism. So where's your line drawn at that becomes cruel?
And you don't know exactly what their reality was. When I was an executive producer, I got paid pretty well. And to some degree, from my perspective, some of that compensation was to act as a lightning rod for this negative discourse. It's one of the reasons why I think it is an executive producer's responsibility to have a social media presence. Because some of you, if you're still watching...
So he's saying he was part of his stuff was to be the scapegoat, the lightning rod, for the criticism that games might have. Again, none of these people that are in the industry that are getting attacked on social media are innocent of saying stupid shit. I can't think of one video game developer that was friendly, didn't say anything, even remotely woke on their social media that's been attacked. Call me out if I'm being wrong. Everybody that we've criticized and made videos about and people have been targeting him, they've all had some kind of agenda where they've attacked gamers at some point.
Will play a game and be angry about it and need to yell at a human being. And I think one of the executive producer's responsibilities is to protect his team. And part of protecting his team is providing that lightning rod. If you don't provide that lightning rod, then people who need to vent are going to find places to vent.
And you can't patrol the internet, though. You cannot patrol the internet. Sure. Okay, this is his opinion, guys. He's giving his take, his opinion on stuff, but realistically, this is what they all think. They don't want any kind of backlash, any kind of criticism, but you cannot patrol the internet. I can't stop people from hating me and making comments towards me. You can't patrol the internet, dude.
We live in a social media world. Many people have some form of social media presence.
Yes.
If you, as the most senior person on the project, don't have a social media presence, then people are going to go and find someone else. Someone who isn't paid as well as you. Someone who doesn't necessarily have...
So you can't prevent that. And I get what he's trying to say here. If I worked for a company and I was getting heat because a game sucked, I'm just going to ignore the emails or the messages and just block. Okay? That's as simple as that. Mute. Or defer them to whoever they should put their concerns to. I mean, I don't know, dude. This guy kind of seems retarded, in my opinion.
The tools to protect themselves from the toxicity that is leveled at them. I would say, again, that you shouldn't be targeting people directly, even the executive producer. But you know what? If you feel the need, the higher up in the organization you go, the more I'm going to say have at her. As you get beyond the executive producer and you get up into studio.
So he hates the leads. Is that what I'm picking up? I'm so confused.
Leadership and group leadership and the C-suite and the person in charge of the entire corporation. They share responsibility in the game you don't like being the way that it is. So if you feel the need to yell at them, again, probably don't, but they're big boys and girls, so...
Okay, so is everybody else that's working on the project. So why are you trying to direct it to the... this is so weird. I almost feel like this guy doesn't know what he's trying to say or what he's talking about.
They should be able to handle it. Now, the reality is, most of those people do not have a social media presence, do not have a way that you can yell at them directly. So a lot of times what I'm telling you is the least senior person you're allowed to yell at is the executive producer. And a lot of times the most senior person you're going to be able to yell at is the executive producer. So once again, the executive producer serves as a lightning rod for all this vitriol. If you feel like you're not being listened to when you complain on Metacritic or you complain on the forums of a studio, or you complain into the social media channels of the publisher or the studio, be aware that this stuff is carefully scrutinized, not just by the social media teams, also by the teams themselves.
This guy's giving me a headache. Comment down below your thoughts, guys, because this guy's giving me a headache. A big one.
Arguably, in a lot of cases, to too great of a degree. The team is listening, I would say, often too much to what you are yelling about and complaining about in these channels. But don't worry, you don't need to go onto their Twitter channel and yell at them directly, because they're going to hear it anyway. Be a human being, have some empathy, and stop being cruel. Stop throwing a party because a bunch of people lost their job.
Again, I'm going to laugh if a studio shuts down, especially if they're making stupid mistakes like Firewalk Studios did. Sorry.
Because you don't know the circumstances that resulted in the thing that you're mad at. People deserve some grace. People deserve some empathy from you. And if you can't provide that, then stay off the internet completely.
Wow.
One last time for...
Are you serious? Stay off the internet completely? But my guy, have you not been paying attention to what all the wokies that are in gaming are doing? Have you not been paying attention to it? Yikes.
For the cheap seats, you are entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to be angry about a game that you bought. You paid good money for it. But try to remember that it's just a game. Even more importantly, when you are expressing your complaints, stay away from cruelty. Stay away from targeting individual people. Stay away from trying to cause harm.
This guy got eaten
away
alive.
From celebrating harm done to act.
This guy got eaten alive for this preachy little virtue signaling, like, finger pointing. This guy got eaten alive. Holy smokes.
Actual human beings. Express your opinion to the company that made your game. Tell them what you like. Tell them what you don't like. Be specific. It will help you get games that are more like what you want.
Spoiler, it won't, because these companies don't care.
But when you are personally attacking individual devs, you are crossing a line. And you're probably attacking the wrong person anyway. A special thanks to my members. They provide the reason.
This guy got cooked. He's gotten torn up. Ridiculous video, in my opinion, guys. What a fucking soy boy. Yikes.